Alrighty, hello everyone, Silver Kyle here, and I just finished watching the Amazing Spider-Man 2 trailer, and it's pretty good. If you want to check it out for yourself, I do have a link in the description box below. But I wouldn't say that the trailer is amazing. It's good, but it's not. I'm not crazy hyped for this movie, mainly because the first Amazing Spider-Man was okay. It was good, but not as good as the first two movies from Sam Raimi. So the original Spider-Man trilogy with Tobey Maguire playing Spider-Man, the first Spider-Man and the second Spider-Man are the better Spider-Man movies in my opinion. Amazing Spider-Man's good, just not as good as those two, in my opinion. Now, I'll get to that later on. So let's talk about the trailer. The trailer did a good job because there's lots of action and a lot of questions to be asked. There's a lot of intrigue, and that is how you build up a trailer. That is how you build up a movie, because now, especially with comic books, everybody's going to be trying to figure out exactly what's going on, what every piece of this trailer means. And there's a lot to be talked about here. It looks like there's going to be 3 villains in this one, which seems a little bit crowded, but I think that if done properly, it can work. Like, I saw a poster of this movie with Spider-Man looking at the 3 different villains, and I was like, I think that if they do it correctly, it can work. Now, it looks like there's going to be one main villain, played by Jamie Foxx as Electro, but they are going with the newer version of Electro, so he's all blue instead of, in the green and yellow suit. Unfortunately, but I can still deal with that because he does look pretty sweet. And then they're going to have 2 secondary characters. Now, the secondary characters, I like the characters, but I don't like how they're going about it. Paul Giamatti is going to be playing the Rhino. Yes, the Rhino is finally going to be in a Spider-Man movie, and I've been wanting this ever since I heard that they were going to make, Spider-Man movies back in early 2000. And I was like, oh my god, Rhino on the big screen would be awesome. But he's not going to be the giant, big, hulking brute that we all know. He's going to be Paul Giamatti, exactly as he is, in a Rhino robot. Why? Why are they doing this? When I first heard about that, I was like, ugh. But I will admit, after actually seeing the trailer, you don't really see a lot of the actual suit. You only see bits and pieces of it. But after you see his foot just stomp on some cement, and he's just walking, and it just kind of crumbles beneath him, I was like, that looks kind of intimidating. This might actually work. And Spider-Man had to grab like a piece of metal, and he's like flying towards him. He's going to hit him with it. I was like, yeah, maybe. I would still much prefer, even a CGI, kind of like the Hulk in the Avengers, a CGI guy in a rhino suit instead of a robot, but this might work. Now, last but not least is the return of the Green Goblin. So yes, the Amazing Spider-Man, the original Spider-Man trilogy is done by Sam Raimi. That's its own universe, and now they rebooted with the Amazing Spider-Man, and we're going to have our own version of Green Goblin here. But it doesn't look like it's going to be played by Norman Osborn. Norman Osborn is there. He's going to be played by Chris Cooper, which is good, but not as good as William Dafoe. Dafoe is the man. That is Norman Osborn right there. He's crazy. But Norman Osborn in this movie, he's kind of sick. He's on a bed. And Harry Osborn is also introduced, which I wish they wouldn't have done. I wish they would have introduced him earlier and not picked that actor. He looks all emo-ish, and I'm just like, I'm not going to care for him. The original trilogy, Harry is Parker's friend, and in this one, he's emo-ish. You don't really trust him. He's kind of like, oh, Parker, you need to see this, and then he's just evil. You know he's evil, and he's not there really for Peter. Harry, in the comic books, is his friend right from the get-go, and he only goes crazy later on, and eventually does become the Green Goblin, but only after his father has took up that, mantle, and, Harry goes crazy because of his father being the Green Goblin, not the other way around. Don't mess with the lore too much. There are certain things where fans are really passionate about. When you turn a book into a movie, when you turn the Star Wars, Star Trek, lots of lore there, and comic books. And when you turn the Rhino into a robot, and then you have Harry Osborn, which we're not going to care for because he's emo-ish, and because you just can't trust him. There's no character build-up here from the last movie. And he's going to be the first Green Goblin instead of the father. Yeah, you're getting to some risky waters there. But I will say, the intrigue about this movie is that it looks like Oscorp is kind of like the central place for villains. Like, it doesn't look like they're just building green goblins here and machinery for goblins, like they did in the comic books and all that. It looks like this is where, because they panned down, they showed this guy all in the shadows, kind of like at the end of Amazing Spider-Man 1, which a lot of people were thinking might have been Norman Osborn, but it doesn't look like that's the case because he's all sick in this one. But it showed this guy walking around in Oscorp, and they showed the Vulture suit and the Dr. Octopus suit, like the the machinery parts. And it's like, yes, this looks like they're eventually going to just like have a ton of villains. Maybe Sinister Six, maybe. That would be awesome. But yeah, that I like. We also don't know who this character in the shadowy in the shadows is. Another part is that we're going a little bit further with Parker's parents. Apparently they were like spies and they found out all about this for Oscorp, so that's interesting. But Harry Osborn as Green Goblin, I don't like the actor that they picked, how they made him look all emo, how he doesn't look like he's going to be friends with Parker. Now, as bad as Spider-Man 3 was from the original trilogy, at least, Harry joined Parker at the end. Even after he had become Green Goblin, he was his friend at the beginning of the trilogy, went crazy because of his father, became the Green Goblin, and then joined Parker's side at the very end of that trilogy. So it made sense. This one, it doesn't look... He has no reason to join Parker at the end. He's not his friend from the beginning. They're just saying he's... Gah! And I don't particularly like Andrew Garfield as Peter Parker. Tobey Maguire did a better job. For one, he sounds more the part. I come from, the 1994 Spider-Man TV show. That is just... When I think of Spider-Man's voice, that is the voice of Spider-Man. When I'm reading my Spider-Man comics and I'm reading Spider-Man saying something, that's the voice that I imagine. Now, I know that they can't pick that voice actor because he's a lot older. He doesn't look like Peter Parker at all. But Tobey Maguire at least had the voice when he had the mask on. It sounded like Peter Parker. This one, it's just like, this seems like it's Andrew Garfield walking around in a Spider-Man movie. And then it's Andrew Garfield in the Spider-Man costume. When Tobey Maguire was in the costume, he at least had the build a little bit. Like the mask fit his face better. This one just looked, I don't know, Andrew Garfield is too slim. And I don't understand that because you're getting paid millions of dollars to be in these movies. He was Spider-Man in 2012 and Spider-Man again in 2014. In between that, he didn't have any other movies. How could you not bulk up for this? It would be like picking me. I'm a 20-year-old guy and I'll be Spider-Man. I'm slim. I don't look like Spider-Man. Spider-Man he has superhuman strength and he's built a little bit. Andrew Garfield doesn't have an ounce of muscle on him. Tobey Maguire wasn't a giant guy, but at least he bulked up a little bit and fit in the suit a little bit better. So those are my main gripes. Also because the acting and the voice he's just himself. He's not trying to be Peter Parker or Spider-Man. In my opinion, he doesn't look the part either. His hair's all woof, and he's always wearing a backpack. Why? It's like they're trying to hide the fact that he's so small, so they keep this backpack on you, kid. I know I'm nitpicking a lot, but that's just how I feel, and I'm very passionate about Spider-Man because he's my top 3 comic book heroes of all time, including Marvel and DC. So he means a lot to me, and he's my childhood, essentially. But anyway, I am much more excited for this movie after watching the trailer. The action looks awesome. Spider-Man swinging around, really awesome. So thank you all for watching, and I'll talk to you all next time. Bye-bye, everyone!